Okay, so um, here are some quick tutorial about managing a career in RP-1. It's a little different from how this works in vanilla, and the idea here is that in vanilla you get funding by doing contracts, and what happens in RP-1 instead is that you get funding over time from just subsidies, and you get funding over time from so-called programs. And programs involve doing contracts for those programs, and the contracts themselves, they give you some rewards, but not monetary rewards, right? Those just come from the programs, and by completing programs you unlock new programs that pay better, and it's a bit more fluid than in vanilla. But then how you deal with all that, and what is this thing on the top with the confidence? Do you need that? How much do you need it? First of all, on the left here, the credits. Credits are important because credits buy everything. There's a way to turn credits into to everything else, really, in one way or another. And they're what makes the game go around, right? This is a resource management simulator, and the credits are the money, the currency, the minerals of StarCraft. You know, this is what makes everything go around. And the way to go to play sort of efficiently is to make sure that you're not wasting any credits on things you don't need, and to make sure that when you spend credits, that they're on things that you do need, and also that you do actually spend your credits, because there is some sort of inflation in the game where future programs pay better, and what that means is that money now is worth more than money in the future. Alright, so you want to spend the money that you have usually. There's reputation. Reputation does two things. Reputation makes your subsidy go up. You'll see if you have 250 rep, you almost double your yearly subsidy, which is quite big. This platform, this cap goes up over time. Right? At some point your programs are going to be paying way more than your subsidy, but you still want to have the reputation high enough. Reputation you get from programs, from doing the contracts, from finishing programs early, and also reputation you can use to switch out administrators and contractors and such. Useful to have. Science is key, just like in vanilla. Science is used to unlock new parts. You want science to get further ahead in the tech tree. Unlike in vanilla, you need money too, besides science. If you have a lot of science, you can start researching things, but you still need researchers, and those cost money. Those have a salary that needs to be paid over time, right? So a lot of science doesn't actually mean that you suddenly have the whole tech tree. It just means that you can research. If you have enough science, then you get a bonus that makes researching faster, but it's not gonna double it, right? It's a minor bonus usually, right? It's still the money that this determines how much technology you have, and the science is just there so that you actually do need to grab science in order to research anything. Confidence is important for the programs, because confidence, what it means is confidence lets you take programs faster, right? If you look at suborbital research, there are 3 speeds at which you can take it. It's normal, which gives you 9 years to do it, fast, which gives you 6 years, and breakneck, which gives you like 4.5. You think, why would you do it in less time, right? It's because the funding remains the same. It's 210,000 credits of funding. So if you take it on breakneck, your yearly funding is going to be higher. Total funding is going to remain the same, of course. So it's just a matter of personal preference. But if you want to go faster, if you want to beat any sort of deadline, or if you want to get better at the game, taking things on breakneck is usually the way to go, or at least on fast, because your program goes a lot faster. You get all this funding so much earlier, and also once you finish this program, you unlock new programs that usually pay per year a lot better, right? So and then once you finish this program, you get another program that pays even better. You get Crude Orbit, and it pays even better, right? The funding just goes up over time as you complete these programs, and you want to rush these programs as fast as possible. Now, every program involves a couple contracts, some of which are optional, others are mandatory, and there is always a capstone contract. And the capstone contract is important because the capstone contract is usually the hardest one, and it is the one that is quite often the final one that you do in a program, right? Unless you want to keep it for optional contracts, And this is the harder one. This is what you want to do. This is the 5 megameter, right? This is the hardest contract of downrange. And for suborbital research, it is the advanced suborbital biological, where is it? It's one of these, one of these biological programs. Yeah, this one. It's not a capstone per se, but this is the hardest one. Right? You wanna do this, and then you wanna close the program, because this program, the starter programs, they're fun to do, but their funding pales in comparison to the programs, the light sets and the heavy sets they unlock. Right? So what is usually the plan is, you take one of these two programs that you rush, and then the other one you do after you completed the first one, right? So you either go for advanced biological experimentation, or you go for the 5 megameter, whichever one you like, and then you have more time to do the other one with a lot more funding. So the idea to play the game is, you want to maximize your funding, and you maximize your funding by doing these programs, doing the programs as fast as possible, grabbing enough confidence, right? That's why you do the optional ones. I did this one, the difficult downrange LV development. This contract is great for confidence. Any confidence lets you grab these early programs, right? You need 700 confidence for breakneck early sets, and then once you get the early lunar probes, you need 1100. But you can do it on fast, and then you need less, but then you go slower, and the whole point of playing the game is to get better and go faster. Or you can, and to make fun rockets, of course, but there's always sandbox for that. X-Planes, this is a bit of a strange situation, because X-Planes is a very long program. X-Planes takes years, and it's something you can take at the start, and the funding for X-Planes is higher than for the other two. So in an optimal gameplay, you take X-Planes at the start, but you don't actually do X-Planes at the start. You do the other programs first, because it still applies that you want to finish one of these two programs, then grab like early satellites because it's higher funding. And then for X-Planes, you just do them later, because you need to fly at 2,000 kilometers per second with crew, and it requires a high technology, and until you can do that, there is not much point in doing the other planes. They give you some confidence, which is one of the reasons you do them, but you're not in a rush, right? And also for planes, general tip, planes, only do planes if you want to fly planes and make planes. If you don't like doing planes, just don't do them, right? We're only racing against ourselves, and don't force yourself to take this program. It is the other two, they're more fun. This whole program, right, just the planes, flying, designing, takes as much time as doing the suborbital programs, the early satellites, and the early lunar probes, right? You hit the moon, you orbit the moon, all combined. So it's a long time investment to do, besides the mental investment, I guess. So that's how you maximize these funds, right? You wanna do the programs, you wanna rush the capstones, and then you wanna accept better programs. That's how you maximize funding. Now, how do you minimize your spending, right? Because you do wanna spend these, right? Because if you have money, you can spend it on engineers to integrate faster, and you can spend it on researchers to research faster. And the way to minimize funding is usually to have as few launch complexes as possible, and have them be as small as possible. There is at least one LC that everyone makes all the time in every run, and that is the 1 ton one. And the 1 ton LC is just the first one you make. You launch the Aerobee from there, the Kármán line contract, and all the other suborbital rocket launches, the sounding rockets, because it is the cheapest you can go, right? There is just a 1 ton. Let's give us. Yeah, this is it. All right. Create the vessel. Ah, come on, man. Let me. There we go. This is our rocket. Let's go. So the idea is your first rocket is going to be something like this. it's going to be a 1 ton complex, and there's going to be some fuel on there, but it's going to be real cheap. You're always going to need this just to launch your bees for various reasons, right? This is what you need. And the next launch complex is you'll probably need something at around 15 tons, and probably something like this worth of stats. And the idea is a 15-ton launch complex. It is gonna do the advanced bio contract. It is gonna do the 5,000 kilometer contract. One of the two, and it's gonna rush the other. And the idea is you want to have only one LC. And what you usually do is you put just a V2 type engine underneath this, right? So something like this. And this is the wrong tank, but yeah, it's it is. You end up designing something like this, and let's see, how heavy is this? This should be like 12 tons or something. Put a decoupler on there. 9 tons. Yeah, you'll probably make this a little bigger, right? This one burn time of 70 seconds. This is 83 seconds. So this is like 13 tons. You'll need the second stage on this. The idea here is, if you look at the minimum tonnage, this is 15 tons. You can do 3/4 of that is the minimum. So anything between 11 and 15 is can launch. So this rocket will fly with this. So this gives you some room at the top, right? If you make this 13 tons, it gives you room at the bottom, but you'll find that that the capstone contracts, like the 5 megameter or the advanced bio or the solar satellite, for example, or the scientific orbit, those are the harder ones, and it's best to design your rocket and launch complex so that those will fit, and then the easier launches, they will also naturally fit on there with the same first stage, with the different second stage maybe, or different payload package on top, right? So make sure design the hard launch, the hard launcher and payload first, and then the other ones, they'll probably naturally fit on this launch complex, right? So this is usually the second launch complex that you want, and then for your first orbit vehicle, it is usually best to minimize the launch complexes that you're making. So what you can do is, if this is your second LC and you're doing light sets, what you can often end up doing is you can double the tonnage of the LC, right? So you just upgrade the LC, and then it will fit your light set launcher, and that means that you're still on your second LC, your second launch complex, and then you're doing light sets, and that saves you a ton of money, because these launch complexes, they can get very expensive. And also make sure that you're actually making a light set launcher, right? It is light for a reason. Light set launchers are supposed to be done with just one engine on the first stage. If you are designing something with multiple engines on the first stage, right, just go with heavy sets. It'll give you more funding to do that contract. And also put the requirements higher, but you're making a bigger rocket. If you're doing heavy sets, then you cannot double the 15 ton or 16 or 18 or 12 or whatever you're using. You cannot double it to 100 tons. If you're doing heavy sets, you need around 100 tons. And what that means is you need to make a new LC. When you make that new LC, it's going to be a 100-ton launcher. It's going to be something along these lines probably. Your minimum is 75 tons, right? So you're not going to have a lot of liberty. You cannot make a one core engine and then put 3 boosters on there and also fly it off the same LC. You need to make choices. And for heavy sets, what you're safe is that you can then, on the same LC, fly your next generation launcher, and it will do the other programs. It will do the early lunar probes, it will do the early crew, it will do the Earth observation satellites, the early commercial contracts. It will all do it on the same LC, and it is important that you actually use that same LC, because this is a very expensive LC, 100 tons, especially for the time of the game you're playing. You cannot afford to make more LCs, right? So if you're on your third LC when you do that program, that's fine. Also, if you do light sets, you still need to make that 100-ton launcher, right? But the key here is, if you do light sets, this 100-ton complex, you don't need until after you've done. And money at the start or money earlier is worth more than money later. So it's best to make this one later, right? And if you can do light sets on 30 tons, do it on 30 tons, and then a year or two later, then you make the 100-ton complex, and then you make the next generation launcher, and it will go to the moon, it will do everything else. After you've done that, right, you hit sort of the advanced era of RP-1. You're probably gonna end up making like a 250 or 350 or 300-ton launcher, and that will go to interplanetary. It will send things to Venus, to Mars, to the lunar surface and everything. It will do advanced work. It will launch Gemini and such. And then when you do your moon rocket, it is usually, right, the Saturn V was like 3,000 tons or something, 3,500 tons. And this is going to be like your next step, right? You don't want to do the things in between. You don't want to make like a 300-ton launcher and a 600-ton launcher and a 900-ton, because all the launch complex is going to be very expensive. So you want to minimize those. You can complete the whole game on 4 launch complexes or maybe 5. And if you're making more than that, then you're wasting money, right? And money is in short supply, because there's a limited amount that you get each month or year, right? So that's how you minimize spending. And of course, you want to build as small as possible. There's also sometimes questions about tooling, and tooling is essentially you always tool every time. You always tool because you're changing one currency for another currency. You're changing your tooling credits for your real credits. And tooling credits you cannot spend in any other way, right? And if you run out of tooling credits, you did something else wrong, right? If you are using multiple different engines from multiple different nations, or you're using multiple different launchers, right? If you just make one launcher for a same weight class and then it'll fly for a long time, do not make multiple. Do not make an Atlas and a Titan and a Jupiter and a Juno and a Thor, right? You need to make choices. You do not fly R7 and Atlas in the same game. You gotta make choices. And then always tool. You should have enough tooling credit, and it'll save you real credits, which are in short supply. Alright. And then for choices, how you fly efficiency, what do you actually need? The Discord is a great source of help for that. Alright, so that's how you sort of play efficiently.